across Texas. The issue is.
I'm Rudy Koski in Austin.
I'm Greg Krugen in Houston.
And I'm Stephen Dial in Dallas, and this is Texas. The issue is.
The issue is the VP pick for Democrats has Republicans trying to avoid a summer meltdown. Here we are a week before Democrats hold their convention in Chicago, and the new Harris-Walz ticket is trying to blow into the Windy City with some political momentum. A few polls even have the race as a tie. Texas Governor Greg Abbott spoke to me about the flip in the November script and what he thinks about Harris's surprise decision to make Minnesota Governor Tim Walz her running mate.
So you have a vice president, former senator, who was the most liberal member of the U.S. Senate, with the most liberal governor in the United States of America. And this is liberal extremism. And as governor of the largest border state, I got to tell you, I'm very concerned and frightened to see a ticket that could impose open border policies that are even more extreme than what Biden has allowed in the United States. And so the first thing I do is think, what am I going to have to do to be able to respond to this administration if they were to get elected?
With that said, the former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi described him as a Midwestern moderate. Lloyd Doggett saying a great middleman. How do you respond to that?
Nancy Pelosi also said days before Joe Biden was replaced that he was fit for office. And so you got to look through a very thick lens to see exactly what she means when she's talking. The reality is, if you look at the policies that both Harris and Walz have embraced, they support sanctuary cities. They support giving taxpayer-funded benefits to immigrants who come here illegally. They are both antagonistic to the type of barriers that Texas has erected that led to a decrease in illegal immigration. So they are both very dangerous for not just illegal immigration, but for energy policy.
A lot of media hype, though, going on for the Democratic ticket. How do you battle that? That's very loud noise, or are you expecting a September lull?
Well, after the convention takes place, that's when the fight will really begin. And the battle is going to be over issues, not personalities. What voters will cast a vote on is who's going to best secure the border, who's going to be able to fight inflation, who's going to be able to tackle the real problems that everyday Americans are facing. And that's going to be Donald Trump.
Are you worried that he tries to make it too personal and loses the issue fight?
Things that a person may say, that's not the reason why somebody will go cast a vote. They're going to cast a vote by the way that you will influence or affect their life in the future by the policies that you stand for.
The former president is going to be sentenced on his so-called hush money trial in September. Terrible timing as a former judge. How do you think this is all going to play out?
Well, I will tell you the way it has played out until now, and that is it looks like a very political trial.
If he goes to jail, how does that factor in?
It's not going to happen. But there could be action taken by the Senate that would hinder President Trump on the campaign trail. That would be viewed as overly political and probably would have the opposite consequence with the general public.
Coming into the summer, the general public was angry about the border issue, what was happening there. You got to face facts. You got to face the numbers. Operation Lone Star worked, reduced the numbers. Did you peak too soon? Did you take the issue out of November?
Americans realize the damage done to our country by Joe Biden's open border policies. They know that Kamala Harris was the border czar, whether she likes that title or not.
I'll eat my crow. Operation Lone Star worked, knocked down the numbers. But again, people have short-term memories. Will they remember this issue November?
It's still showing up in the polling.
There's been a lot of Republican infighting, nationally, locally. Are you worried that Republicans attacking Republicans and not attacking Democrats is going to create a problem and you're going to lose this election?
As we make the turn into September and October, we unite behind common principles and values, such as securing the border, such as growing jobs, such as fighting inflation. And those aren't going to change. And so you will see the party unite and move toward victory at the national level and at the state level and local level also.
Well, the governor seems to be ready. My word for today's issue is schnookered. Greg, give me a word.
Rudy, my word is pensive.
All right, Stephen, take us to the break with a word.
You both gave SAT words, I think. My word is simply nonstick.
All right. Well, the Texas Trio will be back in a moment to talk about the Democrats' summer surprise. The Texas Trio is back. Democrats are riding high, an August high. The media hype is intoxicating, a reason why I chose schnookered for my word. The other reason for that Midwestern word is that Governor Abbott indicated that voters are getting schnookered, conned in a way, and will eventually sober up in September. Stephen, North Texas Democrats, they're certainly fired up, but have you heard any concern about a September hangover?
It's interesting you use the buzzwords, right? You said hangover. I would say Democrats right now are lit. I don't want to say intoxicated, but they're feeling it and they're riding a momentum. And I use non-stick because everything that the Trump-Vance ticket has been trying to throw at Harris-Walz now has not stuck. That doesn't mean it won't stick as we get closer to the election with less than 90 days. But right now, no one seems to be caring about the policy issues. And so what Governor Abbott is talking about is something that has traditionally been polling very high, the border and security, but people aren't talking about that right now. So we'll have to see if there will be a hangover, but I don't expect this high ending at least for another couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think you hit that nail on the head. Certainly not a non-traditional period that we're in right now. Greg, are Republicans in Houston worried? Are they just hunkering down this August, trying to weather out this political storm? Or are there signs that they're just going to continue attacking each other?
Rudy, Republicans here are privately and in some cases publicly concerned the former president is taking his eye off the ball and committing unforced errors like questioning Kamala Harris's racial authenticity to a room of black journalists. I spoke this week with Congressman Wesley Hunt, a deeply committed longtime Trump supporter, and he echoed Governor Abbott in saying Donald Trump must remain laser focused on fundamentals like the inflation that's decimated household buying power, like housing unaffordability, like the erosion of law and order in Democrat-run cities, and most importantly, the millions of unvetted immigrants allowed by Biden and Harris to essentially walk into the country. If the former president gets distracted and indulges in personal attacks and stump speech score settling, they fear he will come up short on November 5th in the handful of swing states where this game will be decided.
Yeah, for Trump, an easy insult is like a squirrel for a hound dog. It's just too hard to pass up. It's generally accepted this presidential race will be decided by independent voters, especially those in swing states. Abbott believes the border crisis is still a factor for those who will vote, but Harris and Walz seem to be counting on voters having short-term memory. Stephen, you see any signs of that happening in the Metroplex? Some issue fading on the border there?
I think the issues are fading. That does not mean they're not going to come back. I'll be the first to join other journalists who have said Kamala Harris is going to have to get in front of a camera and answer questions. But right now she's playing with house money. She can do that at her own time right now. If Donald Trump keeps taking his eye off the ball, like Greg just said, and not talking about the issues, something that the Republicans can actually win on because it doesn't look too good for the Biden-Harris administration, then we could be talking about a Harris-Walz presidency because right now Democrats are feeling the energy, and what's more important is these swing states and these independent voters. We're not really talking about Texas voters here. I know this is a Texas show, but the people outside of the state of Texas, they are forgetting about the things that Republicans were traditionally hammering Biden on.
Yeah, you're right, Stephen. The governor's even concerned about that upset possibility. Trump's verbal triads on the campaign trail and his campaign hush money sentencing could be a recipe for a November defeat. Greg, are moderates and independents in Houston showing signs of being done with the Donald, or are you hearing comments about the Harris-Walz ticket just being too hard left?
Rudy, moderates I talked to are holding their cards pretty close to their vest. Most don't like either one of these choices for a variety of reasons, with the operative word being extreme. Your point about a border crisis that has cooled off substantially could factor heavily in a nation with a chronically short attention span, which is why in the stretch run, I expect Republican media to carpet bomb the airwaves and the web with images of immigrants swarming across the Rio Grande and the faces of victims like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary, the little girl raped and strangled by two Venezuelan predators here in Houston who were simply cut loose to kill by the Biden-Harris open border policy. Remember, in 1987, George Bush, the elders team, arguably turned the tide with the Willie Horton ads. You know, the lifer who raped a woman while on a weekend pass, approved by Democrat Michael Dukakis. If Team Trump doesn't generate a 21st century version of the Horton ad, he may not get the electoral mileage on the border that he needs in a very, very close race.
And of course, war in the Middle East could be a huge game changer. We'll end it there. You can see this interview or any of our past interviews by going to our YouTube pages.
And talk to us on social media.
And the Democrat National Convention is coming up. Will they or won't they debate? We have a lot to discuss. We'll see you same time, same place next week. And remember to let us know what you think the issue is.